Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. I'm back with another video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hey, on this video I wanted to talk about something that has come up recently. It has reared its ugly head. Recently there's been some stories about some theft from luggage at the Manila Airport, I think from airport employees. I think it was maybe just one incident. I don't know, one or two incidents, I believe. And this is kind of, a little bit reminiscent of something that was going on. It's a little different, but it's similar. It's the bottom line is it results in a foreigner being separated from their money. So it's kind of similar. But back, actually, when I first came here at the end of 2015, for the first time, December of 2015, there was what they would call, there was a scam going on at the Manila Airport. And some people were saying, oh, it was only Terminal 3, or it was only Terminal this or that. I'm not sure. Luckily, I'd never been a victim of it. But it involved what they would call the bullet in the bag. In other words, what they would do is, if you had like soft luggage, maybe with pockets that have on the exterior of your check-in luggage, especially, right? That where you could zip it open like extra pockets, they would put like a bullet in there, and then the employee would say, "Sir, we found a bullet in your bag," and then you'd be like, "What?" Well, if you come into the room, we'll talk about it, type thing. They take you to like an interview room or whatever, and then basically they would try and get money out of you, in lieu of like, like arresting you or whatever. Okay, so that was going on, right? Like, I guess right before that time, and I think what had happened was, I think they had already had an election at that point. I'm trying to think because it was like about a week or so before Christmas, mid-December, I think, when I went over there, when I flew over here. And I believe that the next year, President Duterte had taken office, right? I believe it was 2016 when he started his term. But I think they already had the election at that point. You know what I mean? I can't remember, exactly when the election was, and but the bottom line is that right after that point, or maybe even around that point, I really don't think there was too many incidents happening after that, like going into 2016 and that, because I think the former president made it quite clear that he wouldn't put up with that type of thing. I'm not sure what his exact words were, but yeah. So anyway, so that really wasn't an issue anymore, probably around that time. But it had been, and it wasn't just the Philippines. I mean, I've heard of that happening in other developing countries. Whenever you're in a country that, where the people aren't making a lot of money, you know what I mean? They don't get paid a lot of money. You're always going to be open to that type of scam, from like even an airport employee or whatever. So, and I'm quite certain that similar things happened in other countries, like I said, other developing countries. But anyway, so this recent theft thing, the reason I wanted to make this video was because I just wanted to give you a couple pointers on what I did, right? Like after my first trip, I did have one of those sort of fabric or cloth cover, check-in bags with pockets on it and all that. Because I didn't know. Nobody told me, like, oh, you should, tape up the bag. And because people were, at that time, I was looking at the conveyor belt waiting for my check bag, and I'm seeing these big bags that are taped up, man. I mean, they're all taped up, to prevent that, to prevent the possibility of someone putting something in your bag. And I was like, why are they people doing that? I didn't really know, you know what I mean, until a little bit later after that. But after that trip, I just thought, it was kind of an older luggage that I had anyway. So I basically replaced all my luggage, and I got the hard shell, sort of plastic hard shell luggage, right? For not only for check bags, but for carry-on bags as well, or the bigger carry-on bag that you put in the overhead bin. And there's no pockets or anything, and the check bags, I actually have two of them. They're locked. They have TSA locks on there. Okay, so that's what I do. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, yeah, it's not right that somebody might be trying to steal money or whatever they were doing, taking stuff out of your luggage. And I will say this, back in the late 80s, I worked at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, and I worked, I was a ramp guy, worked for a major airline at that time. And, yeah, there was stuff. I never saw anything when I was working. I was only on the ramp for maybe 2.5 years, I never saw anything, but I heard a lot of stories about guys, going through bags and stuff. Okay, let's just put it that way, Maybe when they're still in the plane, they haven't even taken off the plane yet, and nobody can see them. They're in the belly of the plane, like a narrow-body plane or whatever, like a DC-9 type plane or whatever. So, back in the day, they had 727s still. So, anyway, but that's, a little bit off the subject, but, I guess my point is that things like that were happening even in the U.S., and maybe still might be happening to this day. But anyhow, that's what I would do, though, as far as getting your luggage. Just get the lockable, especially for check-in luggage, right? Get lockable hard shell luggage, okay? And also, yeah, don't, on top of that, never put anything that's irreplaceable or huge, something of huge value in your check-in bag. You know what I mean? If you have to bring something like that that's got a lot of value to it or whatever, put it in your carry-on bag. Just put it in your carry-on bag. Usually you can have two carry-ons, like a bigger one that you can put in the overhead bin, and then one that you can put under your seat. So it's kind of like between those things that you should have plenty of room to put something of value, whatever you're thinking about bringing that's of value, and I will say this, I've never had anything, and I've gone through Manila every time. This is 6 times now that I'm living here, but this was the 6th trip, me coming here to live. Always through Manila, never flew through Cebu from the U.S. I've been in Cebu Airport, from internal travel, but never had a problem with any of the airports, okay? And especially, Manila. Never had any thefts, never had any bullet in the bag or anything like that. The worst thing that happened to me was at Manila Airport, and I mentioned this in a previous video. I got kind of taken advantage by one of those private taxis services, where they have like a nice van or SUV, and they we'll give you a ride to the airport, and then they charge you like 4 times what the taxi fare would be, or even 5 times or whatever. It's just quite a bit more. That was the worst thing that ever happened to me here, period. Like, basically, right? Like, so yeah, but so be careful, like I said, the hard shell luggage, it's lightweight too, but yet it's durable, so it's really a good choice for travel, for long distance travel, in my opinion, and even like when you go through the security systems at the airport, right? You got to take everything off and you put it in the bin, and all that. And I've come here with 2, 3, 4,000 cash US on me, and I never had an issue. Now, I will say I always would kind of put it at the bottom of the bin, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't just put it on the top. You don't make it easy for people, okay? If you just leave a bunch of money around, you're going to tempt even honest people, you know what I mean? The old saying. So just don't ever make it easy for anybody, But I would just put it on the bottom, literally I'd put the cash at the bottom of the bin, put stuff over it, you couldn't even see it if you looked into it, And that's just what I do. I'm just cautious, you know what I mean? It's kind of common sense, right? I mean, to me it is, But that's what I would tell you to do, guys. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that subject because I know it's been a little bit of a in the headlines or whatever recently. And I will say this: that with the current president, who seems very interested in promoting not only tourism but even foreign investment from other countries into the Philippines. I'm sure that this will not be an issue going forward. You know what I mean? Like, this they caught the whatever it was, one or two people that did this or were involved with this, and I got a feeling it's not going to be an issue going forward. I mean, I'm not I can't predict the future, right? But I just think, this new president, this current president, is very interested in promoting, tourism and stuff, and realizes that that's a big chunk of the Philippine economy, and even foreign investment, which could lead to changes going forward, that really haven't been laws for a long time, allowing a certain amount of foreign investment, But all right, guys, that's it. I'm done talking. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later, man. Be safe.